Staff Sergeant Eliza Hart stepped off the bus at Fort Irwin in boots that no longer fit the rhythm of base life. 10 years away turned familiar sights into echoes. She didn't say much, just reported in, signed forms, nodded where she had to, eyes ahead, always ahead. She entered the Abrams retraining unit quietly. 22 others were already in formation, mostly men, younger, louder. One turned and whispered not low enough. That the new one. She looks like someone's mom. Another added, must have taken a wrong turn on the way to the commissary. She ignored it. No change in pace. No response. Briefing started. The instructor barked about schedules and safety protocols. Eliza took notes in a small spiral pad. The same pad she had used 10 years ago, though the ink inside was new. Hands steady, writing tight. At chow, she sat alone. The mess hall buzzed behind her voices pitched to pierce. Blind spots back. Hope they issue reading glasses with that helmet. She cut her meat slowly, chewed like time didn't matter. During gear assignment, a private called out Grandma Gunner reporting for duty. Laughter followed. Even the platoon leader smirked before masking it. No correction came. Eliza kept her head low. She marked everything who joked, who laughed, who stayed silent but smiled. She saw the squad leader glancing at her paperwork twice. Once at age, once at gender. His eyes gave nothing. His silence gave more. Training day 1. She mounted the M1A2 like it still remembered her weight, but her hands moved slower than before. The targeting scope felt off. She took a moment to adjust. That was all it took. Hey, Sister Eliza, need help finding the zoom? Try bifocals. The crew laughed. The gunner's assistant slapped the side of the turret like it was a punchline. She didn't flinch. Just recalibrated the viewfinder, locked in the parameters, and watched. They missed the mark on that run. Overshot by 3 meters. She noted wind drift. Barrel heat. After hours, she wiped down the surface alone. No one asked. No one helped. They were already in the wreck area by the time she checked the hydraulic lines twice. Then a third time. She called her sister. Said nothing for a while. Then, barely above a whisper, "Maybe I made a mistake." The reply came fast, firm. "You don't back down from mistakes. You correct them." Eliza didn't answer. She stared out past the barracks, past the range, then back at the tank. A sergeant walked by, loud on purpose. "I heard some people think training's just for making TikToks." She didn't look up. She just checked the turret housing again. At night, while others drifted into sleep, Eliza sat cross-legged on the floor of her quarters. Laptop open. No sound. Just the flicker of the screen reflecting in her eyes. Footage played. Grainy. Field recordings from years ago. The voice belonged to Colonel Nathaniel Carter. Retired now. Once called the Ghost Commander. A legend in the Corps. A ghost in reputation. A machine in the turret. 12 years back she had trained under him. Selected from 80 candidates. No favoritism. No special treatment. Just 3 words. Don't waste this. He never promoted her. Never wrote a letter. Just gave her access to everything he knew. With one condition. Keep it to yourself. Use it only when it matters. So she studied, now again, in silence. Every frame, every movement. Carter's voice echoed through headphones. Speed is noise. Consistency is power. Eliza rewound the footage, froze it, played again. She mimicked each gesture, rotating the virtual turret, adjusting elevation manually, breathing in rhythm with the footage. She knew the M1A2's stats like heartbeat patterns. Weight distribution under recoil. Pressure loss tolerance in secondary hydraulics. Maximum turn radius under soft sand. She repeated every number like scripture. When the rest of the squad slept, she worked on dry drills. In her corner. Using a scale model she had built from parts ordered online, she marked it with scratches where field wear would show, practiced turret spins with resistance bands, simulated misfire recovery with a stopwatch. During downtime, she never argued, never challenged, just watched. When someone forgot to lock the stabilizer before movement, she noted it. When another overloaded the ammo rack, she made a quiet mark. No one noticed. No one cared. She drank her coffee black, ate fast, took the far seat. Her body remembered what 10 years of motherhood had done. The muscles took longer to warm, but her hands steady as they ever were. More precise now, trained by life, not comfort. One night, the projector in the training yard played old simulation footage. Carter, again, teaching ghost operations, emergency protocol under zero visibility. She watched alone from the shadows. He had once said, "You wait for the moment, and when it comes, you don't ask permission. You act." Eliza paused the clip, sat with those words, then opened a folder on her laptop, labeled Emergency Combat Protocols. She had never opened it before, never needed to, until now. In the video, Carter demonstrated manual override, calculated target velocity without instruments, fired on gut and geometry. She watched it 10 times, then stood, faced the wall, closed her eyes, breathed in, turret, rotate 3 degrees west, elevation up 2 clicks, compensate left drift, check pressure gauge, fire. She said nothing, but in her mind the target exploded. She opened her eyes, picked up the model again, started over. The second week they ran targeting drills. Eliza was assigned 3rd rotation. The crew before her botched a calibration, but no one said a word. When her turn came, she adjusted the sight, hesitated for half a second, and then fired. Missed. Off by just enough. A voice from behind. "Nice shot, Grandma. Almost got the moon." She stepped away, checked the angle again, said nothing. Lieutenant Lance approached the group, glanced at her, then looked away before speaking. "We're reassigning Staff Sergeant Hart to technical observation. Give her time to recalibrate." She nodded once. No protest, no surprise. The next morning her locker bore a yellow sticky note. "Tanks don't need babysitters." She peeled it off slowly, folded it once, twice, slid it into her breast pocket. That day she sat off to the side during field simulation. The crew practiced live rotations. She took notes, not just who turned late or who missed alignment, but how they adjusted after failing, or didn't. At mess, no one sat with her. Loud jokes flew over her shoulder, directed just high enough to be deniable. Some people think war zones are content farms now. Eliza didn't blink. She cleaned her fork methodically, ate every bite, left 5 minutes after everyone else. That evening she walked the perimeter alone. The sky was clear, the air sharp. Her footfalls made no sound on gravel. Behind her, the same 2 soldiers talked loud enough again. What's she even doing here? Should have joined admin. She paused once, adjusted her collar, kept walking. The coordination test started with dust. Tank 2 advanced along the mock ridgeline. Inside, the crew rotated positions, gunner, driver, loader, each trying to beat the time to target metric. Eliza stood outside, hands behind her back. Vest marked monitor. The clipboard rested against her thigh untouched. Inside the turret, the gunner shifted too early. His left hand overshot the targeting dial by 2 clicks. The scope drifted. A subtle roll. The round fired seconds later missed the mark by half a meter. She saw it. Driver overcompensated on the turn. Too tight. Caused a jerk in the turret's orientation. Lost stabilization. The tank slowed, bled speed on an unnecessary brake. She stepped forward. Your alignment's off. The turret's drifting because the gunner's offsetting without reset. Also, she paused, drivers leaning too hard into the pivot. You're stressing the gears. The squad leader standing just ahead turned, smiled thin. Thanks, but we've got it under control. Another soldier chuckled. Might be time to update that clipboard, ma'am. Eliza didn't react, didn't nod, didn't retreat. She just stood still for 1 more second, then marked a single note on her board. Later that night, Lights dimmed across the barracks. She sat alone, with her model kit. Turret already set to the angle from the test. Reenacted the drift. Calculated the exact moment torque slipped past tolerance. Ran the sequence again. Adjusted the wheels underneath to simulate terrain shift. Marked the point where stabilization failed. Didn't mutter. Didn't shake her head. She picked up the manual override lever she'd fashioned from scrap. Flipped it twice. Felt the motion settle. Then ran the whole test again. One movement. Then another. Until she knew it better than the ones who lived it. The sun hung low as the squad prepped for live fire. Tank 3 rolled into position, dust curling behind its treads. Sergeant Brooks barked orders like a man who knew he had something to prove. Eliza stood 20 feet away, helmet in hand. Her role, observer. Again. The crew locked in. Gunner ready. Loader set. Brooks gave the signal. Then the system blinked. Targeting HUD flickered once. Then black. Hydraulic groan followed. The turret stopped moving. Inside, someone cursed. Brooks shouted over the headset, "I've lost visuals. System's dead." The loader leaned in, powers dipping, pressures dropping. The smell of hot fluid hit the air. Metallic. Faint. Eliza's eyes narrowed. Brooks called to the others outside. "Someone get the techs. We're shutting this run down." She stepped forward. "You're sitting on a leak in the secondary hydraulic. Pressure's collapsing because you ignored the torque threshold. You've got 30 seconds before the whole turret locks." He didn't answer. His eyes darted, jaw clenched. The gunner looked to him. Eliza didn't wait. Permission to take the controls. Brooks scoffed. "This isn't the time for..." From the command tower a voice cut in. "Let her try." It was Lieutenant Davis, watching through binocs. He'd seen enough. Brooks threw up a hand. "Whatever. All yours." Eliza didn't nod. Didn't thank him. Just moved. She climbed the side panel, entered the hatch, sat low in the gunner's seat. The chair groaned under weight, but her spine didn't bend. She slid on the manual override gloves, gripped the control yoke like she never left. No digital readout. No calibration grid. Just her steel and silence. The target, a remote-controlled rover on the far side of the range, moved in quick arcs. Unpredictable. Designed for chaos. It mimicked enemy armor under stress. Slippery. Fast. She watched the wind. Dirt curled east. Range flags dipped. She adjusted elevation 2 clicks. Compensated left lean. Manual scope engaged. Numbers meant nothing now. Only instinct. Only Carter's voice in memory. Don't chase the target. Become the target. She tracked it not where it was, but where it would be. Movement had rhythm. Speed had habit. She read it all. Her left hand steadied the turret. Right hand on trigger. Index finger curled. The tank shifted. Ground uneven. She leaned slightly to center gravity. 3 seconds. Breath in, breath out, trigger squeeze. The explosion came fast. Orange plume. Impact. Dead center. In the tower, Davis checked his watch. 3.2 seconds. The field went quiet. Brooks climbed halfway out the hatch. His mouth moved. No sound came. Eliza stood, removed her gloves, pulled off her helmet. Sweat lined her spine, but her eyes were clear. Davis spoke from the tower. "Who trained you?" She didn't answer right away. She looked at the target. Then turned. "Colonel Carter. Marine Corps. He called me 01. Then she climbed down. No one laughed. Night rolled over Fort Irwin like a blanket too heavy to shake. The stars above didn't flicker. They burned steady. Inside the barracks, the lights dimmed. Most soldiers knocked out. Early, worn from the shock of the live fire. Eliza stayed up. She sat alone in the corner of the mechanic's bay. Sleeves rolled to the elbow headlamp, strapped tight socket wrench in hand. A call came through the squad comm line. Patrol 2 had lost infrared. Their turret controls had frozen mid-rotation. Navigational screen dead. Location simulated forest zone. No light. No backup. Anyone nearby? Eliza stood before the voice finished asking. Already grabbing her kit. "Hold your position," she said into the mic. "Power down. Remove battery from panel 3. I'll be there in 10. She moved fast but didn't rush. Gear precise, every tool placed with intention. Reached the stalled tank in 9 minutes flat. No spotlight, just the soft glow of her headlamp cutting lines through branches and metal. The driver stared at her like she didn't belong. She said nothing. Crawled beneath the tank belly. Found the 3A circuit path scorched. The connector melted. She replaced it in 4 moves. No wasted motion. Try now. The console lit up. Infrared blinked back alive. The crew inside murmured. She walked back without waiting. In the morning, something new hung in the air. 2 privates, both from the tank that failed yesterday, stood by her vehicle. One held a rag, the other a hose. They didn't speak at first. Then one said quietly, "Thank you for not leaving us." She nodded. Nothing more. Later that day, during a maintenance check, a new recruit fumbled a cable, shaking hands. Eliza stepped in, calm. "This can't activate with the stabilizer lock engaged. Always adjust sensitivity to 3.6 with crosswind." "Got it." He nodded fast, grateful. The footage came that evening. Someone queued it up in the mess hall. Old documentary. Title, The Zero Program. It showed Colonel Carter in his prime, training a group of 12 cadets hand-picked from across the services. No one had heard of them before. No one ever saw them again. Ghost Squad. No insignia. No names. Near the end, one clip showed a woman on the firing line. Back to the camera. No audio. Caption below read, Cadet 01. Someone leaned forward. That her? No one answered. But eyes turned to Eliza. She was cleaning her gear. Silent. Focused. Later, a note was taped to the training board. She doesn't raise her voice. But when she pulls the trigger, everyone listens. No one signed it. They didn't have to. Morning started with metal against metal. 2 soldiers elbow deep in soap scrubbing the M1A2 Eliza had used during the live fire. Neither spoke. One wiped the cannon barrel with a worn shirt. The other rinsed the tread guards in silence. They had laughed once. Not now. Inside the maintenance bay, a 3rd soldier checked torque specs twice, then a 3rd time, just like she used to. At the firing range, one recruit leaned over to another. "Sight drift. Try compensating to your left hand like Hart showed me." The second nodded. Adjusted hit the target clean. Before it had been every man for himself. Now they stood tighter, reviewed each other's gear before drills, asked for checks they used to ignore. It wasn't a lecture that changed them. No speech, no order, just watching her move, watching her listen, watching her wait until she didn't. During calibration drills, a private raised his hand, asked if Eliza could be the one to review his scope alignment. No one objected. Even Brooks didn't flinch. The air felt different. No one had told them to act this way. They had just seen what happens when someone knows more and talks less. Late afternoon, wind kicking dust across the lot. A new recruit loaded rounds with trembling hands, fumbled one, nearly dropped it, froze. Eliza stepped beside him, calm, close, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Relax." Her voice was steady, low. He didn't respond, just nodded hard. "Think of it like a song," she said. "Wind, gravity, heartbeat. When they line up, you press." He exhaled, fired. The round hit clean. Cheers came from behind, but Eliza didn't turn. Just moved to the next trainee. Checked their loading sequence. Quiet nod. In the command office, Davis watched from the window. Said nothing. Just wrote her name in the supervision roster for next week's training cycle. No ceremony. No announcement. She didn't get promoted. She didn't ask. But now, when she walked across the yard, soldiers made room. Not because she demanded it, because they wanted to follow her. The projector hummed quietly in the common hall. Chairs scraped against concrete as soldiers filed in, most expecting standard recap footage. Another weekend drill wrap-up. A few yawned. One checked his watch. Then Carter's face appeared on screen. "You don't build warriors by giving orders," the voice said. You build them by teaching them to carry each other. The room stilled. The footage rolled through years of training archives. Grainy clips of obstacle courses, night ops precision shooting under pressure. None of it narrated. Just movement. Just grit. Then came the Zero Squad. No names. No ranks. 12 figures moved in rhythm, their faces, shadowed identities sealed. One female silhouette at the edge, her stance rigid eyes on the barrel ahead. The footage slowed. She fired. Target hit. Caption appeared beneath. 01, classified candidate, trained by Carter 2010. Someone in the room shifted, a voice quiet just above breath. That's her. That's Hart. No laughter followed. The video faded. Lights stayed low. No one rushed out. In the mess line later, soldiers served each other without being asked. A tray was picked up from the floor without comment. Someone offered their seat to a recruit without a word. In the field that Monday, Eliza stood behind the line watching as two privates rechecked their calibration. They did it without being told. One looked back at her. She nodded. He nodded back. Davis passed her in the yard. He didn't stop, just said, "Thank you, Staff Sergeant." She didn't reply, just kept walking toward the motor pool. The tank sat quiet steel, soaking up heat from the sun. She moved between them like a mechanic, not a legend. Checked seals. Ran her fingers along the turret welds. Hands precise. Motion unbroken. By week's end, the bulletin board above the water station had a fresh note. Printed. No signature. Leadership isn't volume. It's precision. It's watching someone who knows and wanting to be like them. No one touched the note, but everyone read it. That night, Eliza cleaned her gear slower than usual. Not because she was tired, because the tools felt right in her hands. She looked out past the yard. Nothing moved. The ground didn't cheer. The walls didn't echo. But something had changed, and everyone could feel it.